This house used to breathe with me. Every wall felt earned, every room felt safe. I dropped my keys and said, "I'm home." No answer. I tried again, louder. "Emma?" She walked past the hallway without looking at me. "You're late," she said. "I texted you," I replied. "Work ran long," she shrugged. "Whatever." I followed her into the kitchen. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," she said quickly. Too quickly. "I'm just tired." I watched her phone light up. She turned the screen away. I asked, "Who's calling?" "Just a friend," she said. "Why are you checking on me?" "I'm not checking," I said. "I'm talking." She sighed. "You always make things heavy." That hurt more than I expected. This house was built on long nights and shared plans. I said, "We used to talk." She didn't answer. She locked our bedroom door instead. Ryan showed up later with his usual smile. "Hey bro, Emma asked me to fix the sink." I nodded. "She didn't tell me," he laughed. "You know how she is." I watched him walk too comfortably through my house. I asked, "How long were you here?" "Long enough," he said, avoiding my eyes. That night, I sat alone on the couch. The walls felt colder. The silence felt planned. For the first time, I wondered if this was still my home, or if I belonged. I came home early and heard voices in my bedroom. Emma said, "He won't notice. We'll do it slowly." Ryan replied, "Bills first, then the deed." I froze. She said, "I'll move his money to savings. He trusts me." Ryan asked, "What? About the house?" Emma laughed. "It's already mine in practice." I swallowed and leaned closer. Ryan said, "He thinks I'm helping." She answered, "You are. Help me replace him." My head rang. I whispered, "This can't be real." They kept talking. Ryan asked, "When does he leave?" Emma said, "Soon. I'll push him to sleep on the couch, then friends, then gone." I felt sick. I thought, I paid for every wall. I said nothing. Ryan said, "What if he fights?" Emma replied, "He won't. He's soft." Rage rose. I told myself, "Breathe." Emma added, "After he's out, we start fresh." Ryan said, "Together?" She paused. "We'll see." My hands shook. I wanted to scream. I didn't. I stepped back, quiet. I stood outside the door and realized I was already a guest. My name wasn't welcome here. I listened until silence came and I felt erased. I waited there, counting breaths, counting lies, counting exits. I remembered promises, holidays, plans, all spoken here. I told myself to leave. I told myself to stay. I chose to listen longer because truth hurts less than doubt, and I needed proof before I broke. The hallway lights hummed softly, mocking me while my heart argued with my feet. That night. At breakfast I said, "Morning." Emma said, "Coffee's cold." I smiled and sat. Inside, I screamed. At work, Daniel asked, "You okay?" I said, "Fine." He said, "You look hollow." I laughed, "Just tired." After lunch, I called, "Mark." I said, "Hypothetical question. Who owns a house if only one name is on the deed?" He said, "That person." "Why?" I whispered, "Just checking." He added, "Also, watch shared accounts." My stomach dropped. That night, Emma said, "Did you pay the card?" I replied, "Already done." She said, "Good." Her eyes lingered. I checked statements later, transfers I never approved. I said to the screen, "How long?" I held my old keys heavy and worn. I remembered handing her a copy and saying, "This is ours." I blamed myself. I said, "I trusted too much. I feared sleeping alone. I feared fighting." Mark texted, "You have options." Daniel said earlier, "Don't disappear." I stared at the locked bedroom door and told myself, "Not yet." I decided quietly, without anger, I won't. Leave silently. The house listened. Every tick of the clock said, wait. I practiced calm replies in my head. I hid fear behind routine. I watched Emma closely. I learned patience. I promised myself dignity. When the moment came, I would speak clearly, and I would not beg. I would stand firm, even if my voice shook inside me. I said, we need to talk. Emma crossed her arms. About what? I replied, about the house. She laughed. Our house? I said, my house. She blinked. Don't start. I continued, the deed is in my name. She said, that doesn't matter. I said, it does. Ryan stepped in. Bro, calm down. I looked at him. You helped plan this. He said, I was trying to help her. I answered, you helped replace me. Emma said, you're overreacting. I said, I heard everything. She whispered, you listened? I nodded. Money transfers, moving me out. Her face went pale. Ryan said, we didn't mean harm. I said, intent doesn't erase betrayal. Emma snapped, so what now? I breathed slowly. You leave. She scoffed. You can't do that. I said, I can, and I will. Ryan said, where will she go? I replied, not my problem. Emma's voice shook. You're cruel. I said, I'm clear. I handed her an envelope. 30 days. She stared at it. You planned this. I said, I protected myself. She started packing, silent. I felt steady. My name returned to me. The house felt lighter. Ryan backed away. Emma zipped a bag, stunned. Her plan ended here. I said, take what's yours. She said, this is wrong. I answered, so was lying. She looked around. You won't forgive me? I replied, not today. Ryan muttered, I'm sorry. I said, leave. The door closed. Silence stayed. I stood tall. I breathed once more, calm, certain, finally choosing myself over fear, and I owned my future. Without apology, ever. Days passed quietly. Lisa called me. Emma is a mess, she said. She thought you'd fold. I replied, I won't. Lisa sighed. She has no money. I said, she planned that. My mother called next. Your brother lied. To us, she said. We trusted him. I answered, I know. She asked, will you help them? I said no. At work, Daniel said, people are talking. I nodded. Let them. Ryan showed up unannounced. I messed up, he said. They won't talk to me. I replied, you chose that. He said, Emma needs help. I said, so do I. He begged, please. I said, leave. He left. Emma texted, I can't pay rent. I typed, not my problem, then stopped typing. I deleted it and sent nothing. I felt light. I felt calm. I told myself, this is not revenge. I watched accounts close. I watched excuses fail. I watched lies collapse under daylight. I sat in my living room and breathed. I said out loud, I'm free. The house answered with silence. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just stood still, letting karma work without me. Peace arrived, quietly, like rain after a fire, cooling everything I thought was burning forever. I remembered the man I was, and the man I became. I chose distance over drama. I chose sleep over fear. I chose myself, finally, without asking permission from anyone. No one knocked on my door. No one could take this peace away. It was earned slowly, alone. She knocked softly. I opened the door. Emma said, I messed up. I said, why are you here? She stepped in. I was scared. I felt alone. I replied, you planned lies. She said, I made mistakes. I asked. With my brother? She cried. I didn't mean it. I said, meaning doesn't change choices. She said, I lost everything. I answered, you lost me first. She reached for my hand. I can fix this. I stepped back. I already fixed myself. She whispered, I miss us. I said, I miss who I was. The house felt quiet, solid. She said, I'll do anything. I replied, that time passed. She blamed fear. She blamed pressure. She blamed love. I listened. I felt nothing sharp. I said, I forgive you. She looked hopeful. I added, but I won't stay. She shook. Please. I said, go. She asked, is this about the house? I said, it's about respect. She stared, empty. I lost you. I nodded. Yes. I remembered sleeping on couches, doubting myself, begging silently, shrinking daily until today, when my voice stayed calm, my back stayed straight, and my heart stopped chasing approval, excuses, or warmth that never truly existed between us anymore. She left slowly. I closed the door gently. I stood still, breathing free. I knew then she didn't lose comfort. She lost me, and that was final. I walked forward alone, steady, unafraid, and done with my life. I changed the locks that morning. The click felt final. My neighbor Tom waved. Rough weeks? He asked. I said, better now. He smiled. House looks brighter? I replied. It finally is. Inside, I moved the couch back, opened. Windows breathed. I said to the room, I'm staying. My phone buzzed. Ryan texted, can we talk? I typed, no. I deleted his number. Tom knocked later. Coffee? He asked. I said, sure. He said, life goes on. I nodded. It does. Alone again, I sat and thought. I lost years, trust, family ties. I gained clarity. I told myself, I won't confuse love with fear. I remembered begging, shrinking, doubting. I said, never again. I placed my keys on the table and said, this is mine. The house answered with quiet. I didn't celebrate. I rested. I chose respect over revenge. I chose peace over noise. I said out loud, I didn't destroy her. I added, I protected me. The sun crossed the floor. I stood taller. I promised myself one rule. I said, no one replaces me in my own life. I locked the door gently, smiled once, and walked forward, steady, whole, and done, ready for tomorrow without ghosts, without bargains, without fear. I will build slowly, speak honestly, and guard my boundaries, because staying true is the only victory that lasts. I choose quiet mornings, clear nights, and a future earned by courage. Today, tomorrow, always me.